Thank you everyone. I request Dr. Dharmasenan to deliver the welcome address. Dr. Dharmasenan ஐயா அவர்களை வரவேற்புரை வழங்க அழைக்கிறேன்.
வணக்கம். வரவேற்பு உரை 2 நிமிடத்திற்குள் முடிக்க வேண்டிய விஷயம் என்று அறிவுறுத்தப்பட்டுள்ளேன். ஆகவே நான் சொல்ல வேண்டிய விஷயத்தை நேரடியாக வந்து தெரிவித்து வருகிறேன். அனைவரையும் வருக வருக என்று உளமாற மனமாற வரவேற்கிறேன். தீன் தயாள் உபாத்தியாயா உரிமை அல்ல கடமையே பிரதானம் என்று வலியுறுத்தியவர். தகுதி உள்ளவை மட்டுமே தப்பி பிழைக்கும் என்ற முழக்கம் ஆபிரகாமிய ஆதிக்கத்தின் மீதான தொடர் எதிர்ப்பின் பிறப்பு என்பது குறித்த பிரஜையை உருவாக்கி அந்த கொள்கை மனித குலத்திற்கு எதிரானது என்று பறைசாற்றியவர். கடைக்கோடி மனிதனும் கவனத்தில் கொள்ளப்பட வேண்டும் என்று வலியுறுத்தியவர். முதலாளித்துவ கம்யூனிச கொள்கைகள் சர்வலோக நிவாரணிகள் அல்ல என்பதையும் நிறுவியவர். மனிதனின் பகாசுர பேராசைக்கு தீனி போட இயற்கை வளத்தை இடைவிடாது சுரண்டிக் கொண்டே சென்றால் இயற்கை மீதான மனித குலத்தின் பங்களிப்பு என்னவென்று கேள்வி எழுப்பியவர். அனைவருக்கும் இங்கு இடம் உண்டு. அவரவர் திறனுக்கேற்ற வகையிலான ஒவ்வொருவரின் பங்களிப்பும் இணைந்ததே சமுதாயம் என்று மீண்டும் நம் மக்களுக்கு நினைவூட்டியவர். அந்த தபஸ்வி வாழ்ந்த காலத்தில் நம்மில் பெரும்பாலர் வாழவில்லை. ஆனால் அவரின் கொள்கையை நாம் முன்னெடுத்துச் செல்ல நம்மால் என்ற பங்களிப்பை தொடர்ந்து வழங்க வேண்டும் என்று கேட்டுக்கொண்டு உங்கள் அனைவரையும் மீண்டும் வருக வருக என்று வரவேற்கிறேன். நன்றி, வணக்கம்.
Thank you, sir. We now have the felicitation of our Honorable Governor and dignitaries on the dais.
தீன் தயாள் உபாத்தியாயா அவர்கள் வாழ்ந்த காலத்தில் சில பேர் வாழ்ந்திருக்கிறார்கள். இவர் ஒருவர். தீன் தயாள் உபாத்தியாய கொள்கைகளை மிகவும் சிறந்த முறையிலே பறைசாற்றுகின்ற தொடர்ந்து வித்யார்த்தி பரிஷத், அகில பாரதிய வித்யார்த்தி பரிஷத்தின் பொறுப்பாளராக இருந்து தமிழகத்திலே பல இளைஞர்களுக்கு உத்வேகமும் சமூக வேலை செய்வதற்கான ஒரு உந்துதலையும் அளித்து வந்தவர் சி. கோபாலன். எந்தவித தடங்களும் தடையும் இல்லாமல் தனி மனிதனாக பல ஆண்டுகளாக அவர் இந்த பணியினை செய்து வருகின்றார். தீன் தயாள் பற்றிய பல செய்திகளை ஒவ்வொரு முறையும் ஒவ்வொரு ஆண்டும் காந்தி தீன் தயாள் குருஜி என்ற ஒரு நிகழ்ச்சியை நடத்தி கடந்த பல 10 ஆண்டுகளாக 35 ஆண்டுகளாக இவர் இந்த தீன் தயாளுடைய கருத்தை பரப்புவதற்கு பணி செய்து வருகின்றார். அடுத்ததாக திரு இ. பத்மநாபன். அவர் 75 வயதானவர், பள்ளி ஆசிரியர். அவர் 1967ஆம் ஆண்டு காலிக்கட்டில் நடந்த, கோழிக்கோடில் நடந்த ஜனசங்க மாநாட்டில் கலந்து கொண்டு தீன் தயாள் அவர்களை நேரில் தரிசித்தவர். நம்முடைய பிரதமர் மோடி அவர்கள் கூட தீன் தயாளை தரிசித்தவர் கிடையாது. ஆனால் பத்மநாபன் அவர்கள் தீன் தயாளை தரிசித்தவர். அவர் திரு மகேஷ் சந்திர சர்மா அவர்களுக்கு சால்வை போர்த்தி கௌரவிப்பார்கள், அவர்களுக்கு நினைவு பரிசு வழங்கி கௌரவிப்பார்கள், அவர்களுக்கு பூக்கொத்து வழங்கி கௌரவிப்பார்கள். அவருக்கு அப்பொழுது 18 வயசுதான். அப்பொழுதே அந்த மாநாட்டிற்கு சென்று நேரடியாக தீன் தயாளை தரிசித்தவர் இந்த இ. பத்மநாபன் என்ற பள்ளி ஆசிரியர். அடுத்ததாக தமிழகத்திலே சமூக ஒரு பிற்பட்ட தன்மையில் இருந்த ஒடுக்கப்பட்ட மக்களாக கருதப்பட்ட அந்த மக்களை உயர்த்துவதற்காக 150 ஆண்டுகளுக்கு முன்பே இந்த தமிழகத்திலே 2 பெரும் தலைவர்கள் வேலை செய்தார்கள். சமூக நல்லிணக்கத்தை பேணியும் அதே சமயத்தில் சமூகத்தில் அடித்தட்டு விளிம்பு நிலை மக்களை உயர்த்துவதற்காகவும் அந்த இருவர் ரட்டமலை சீனிவாசன், ஐயா ரட்டமலை சீனிவாசன் அவர்களும் ஐயா அயோத்திதாச பண்டிதரும் ஆவார். அந்த இருவருக்கும் கொள்ளு பேட்டியான பெருமையை பெற்றவர் நமது டாக்டர் நிர்மலா அருள் பிரகாஷ் அவர்கள். அவர்களை இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியிலே அழைத்து கௌரவிப்பதில் தீன் தயாள் ரிசர்ச் இன்ஸ்டிடியூட் இந்தியன் தி ரிசர்ச் அண்ட் டெவலப்மெண்ட் ஃபவுண்டேஷன் ஆஃப் இன்டெகிரல் ஹியூமனிசம் பெருமை கொள்கிறது. நான் சசிகலா சிஏ சார்ட்டர்ட் அக்கவுண்டன்ட் அவர்களை நிர்மலா அருள் பிரகாஷ் அவர்களை கௌரவிக்குமாறு அழைக்கின்றேன். அடுத்ததாக எங்களுக்கெல்லாம் எந்த காலத்திலுமே ஒரு உந்து கோலாகவும் ஒரு ஊற்று கண்ணாகவும் இருந்து கொண்டிருக்கின்ற திரு ராமமூர்த்தி அவர்கள், அவரும் ஜனசங்கத்திலே பலகாலம் பணிபுரிந்தவர். அவரும் தீனதயாள்ஜியை வைத்து திருச்சியிலே 1967 தேர்தலின் போது ஒரு பொதுக்கூட்டத்தை நடத்தியவர். தீனதயாள்ஜியை காலிக்கட் கோழிக்கோடு மாநாட்டிலும் சந்தித்தவர். ஏனென்றால் இங்கு நிறைய பேர் தீனதயாளை நேரில் பார்த்திருக்க மாட்டாங்க. நான் மோதிஜியே பார்த்ததில்லைங்கிறத சொன்னேன். அவர் நமது துக்ளக் ஆசிரியர் சிந்தனையாளர் குருமூர்த்தி அவர்களை பொன்னாடை அணிவித்து கௌரவிப்பார்கள். நன்றி ராமமூர்த்தி அவர்களே. அடுத்ததாக சென்னையின் பெருமை. 1980க்கு பிறகு நாம் தங்கப்பதக்கம் வென்றதே கிடையாது ஹாக்கியிலே. அந்த சென்னையின் பெருமையாக இருக்கக்கூடிய திரு பாஸ்கரன் அவர்கள் 80லே நமக்கு தங்கப்பதக்கத்தை ஹாக்கி ஒலிம்பிக்கிலே பெற்றுக் கொடுத்தார். அவரை கௌரவிக்கும் வண்ணமாக நமது ஆடிட்டர் மோகன் அவர்கள் அவருக்கு பொன்னாடை போற்றி நினைவு பரிசு வழங்கி பூக்கொத்து வழங்கி கௌரவிப்பார்கள். ஆடிட்டர் மோகன் அவர்கள் எங்கள் குழுவை சேர்ந்தவர். எங்களுக்கெல்லாம் உற்சாக கேந்திரமாக எப்பொழுதும் இருந்து கொண்டு வருவர். இளைஞர் போல் எங்களிடம் இணைந்து தோளோடு தோள் நின்று இரவு 12 மணி 11 மணி ஆனாலும் அவர் பணி செய்ய காத்திருப்பவர். நன்றி ஐயா.
Thank you, sir. We will now have the audio-visual presentation on Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay. Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay அவர்களை பற்றிய ஒளி விளக்க காட்சி இப்பொழுது தொடங்கும்.
This is the story of a luminary who, within his brief lifespan, enlightened his country and the world in a way that transcends time. He was a visionary who was addressing the concerns of future generations. This is the story of a Desi statesman who refused to flow with the tide of Western ideas and instead imparted his own unique imprint on the world. Here is a short narrative that documents the philosophy of an avant-garde and within it, his struggle to forge his entire being into a cause larger than life. In a modest house in Nagla, Chandrabhan, a small town in Bridge, the abode of Lord Krishna near Mathura, lived a modest man, Sri Bhagwati Prasad, whose wife Ram Pyari gave birth to a son on the 25th of September 1916 and named him Deen Dayal, fondly called Deena at home. A few days later came the news of the death of his father. After some time, his mother passed away too. The responsibility of bringing up a 7-year-old Deena fell on the shoulders of his maternal uncles. Deena turned out to be a meritorious student over time. In all the places he studied, Gangapur, Kota, Rajgarh, Sikar, Pilani, Kanpur and Agra. Young Dina proved his mettle. This was the era of freedom struggle against Britishers. A thought pondering the division of India under the politics of communalism and the two-nation theory was denting the national freedom movement. Deen Dayal felt that only Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh could save the nation from this tragedy. He decided to dedicate his entire life to the nation and became an RSS Pracharak, a full-timer.
समर्था भवत्वा शिशाते भृशं भारत माता की.
For a decade, he served as Sangh Pracharak in Uttar Pradesh. Deen Dayal was a keen observer of the history as well as the challenges before the nation after the newly earned freedom. It is no surprise then that within a brief span of time, he penned many a book and scores of articles to help India on its journey of self-rule. It was the time when the politics of partition in India had reached a critical juncture, which led to the foundation of a new political party, Bharatiya Janasangh. Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay was made the General Secretary of Bharatiya Janasangh. At global level, a relatively new civilization of Europe, smug on the success of capitalism and imperialism, was striving to impose its doctrines on the whole world. These ideas were in contrast with the thousands of years old Indian civilization, with its great traditions and rich culture. That such a civilization should become the follower of a fragmented polity of Europe was not acceptable to Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay. He made a strong case for the relevance of indigenous philosophy to the Indian polity by putting its pristine elements of Bharatiyata, cultural nationalism and integral humanism into contemporary perspective. Even as Panditji was accomplishing this with a lot of self-confidence and determination, he was brutally murdered on the 11th of February 1968. His death remains a mystery till date. Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay may have left us, but not without handing us a treasure trove of timeless, ideological and deeply insightful literature. It has taken us 3 decades of perseverance and patience to compile, edit and contemporize the vast body of his works to do them justice in the published form. It was 5 decades after his demise and in his birth centenary year that an anthology of his writings was published. The Hindi Vangamai, the 15-volume complete works of Deen Dayal Upadhyay, was released on the 9th of October 2016 by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi in an impressive ceremony at Vigyan Bhavan in New Delhi. Now is the time to share the precious treasure left by Panditji with the international community also in English. Let's have a look into each one of them. The first volume comprises of his writings during the period of 1940 to 1950, when he was working as an RSS Pracharak. The volume is dedicated to revered Sri Madhavrao Sadashivrao Golwalkar Guruji, who served as the second Sar Sangh Chalak of the RSS. The introduction on Sri Guruji has been penned by one of the senior-most Sangh Pracharak, Sri Ranga Hariji, while the foreword has been written by the RSS Sar Sangh Chalak, Dr. Mohan Rao Bhagwat. All the volumes carry a chapter titled That Period, to help the readers gain a perspective on Deen Dayalji's thought process by detailing the social and political milieu that acted as a catalyst to his works. That Period chapter for the first volume has been written by eminent journalist and Padma Shri awardee Sri Ram Bahadur Rai. The second volume covers the foundation period of Bharatiya Janasangh. It is therefore appropriate that this volume pays homage to Bharatiya Janasangh founder Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. His introduction is given by eponymous foundation's director, Sri Anirban Ganguly. The foreword for this volume was provided by famous historian Sri Devendra Swarup. The chapter, That Period, is authored by Padma Shri awardee Sri Jawaharlal Kaur. The third volume spans when Goa was fighting for liberation from the Portuguese rule to become part of the mainland India. It is dedicated to Goa Liberation Movement leader Sri Jagannath Rao Joshi. He is introduced to the readers by former BJP Vice President Sri Balbir Punj, while Dr. Vijay Kumar Malhotra, who was associated with Bharatiya Janasangh since its inception, has provided the foreword. That period chapter is penned by Raja Ram Mohan Roy National Library Chairman Sri Brij Kishore. The fourth volume carries the literature time of reconstitution of states under one united constitution. This edition honors the then president of Bharatiya Janasangh, Pandit Premnath Dogra. The introduction to Pandit Dogra is given by the former Deputy CM of Jammu and Kashmir, Sri Nirmal Singh, while the foreword has been provided by Sri Rangahari. The chapter, That Period, is authored by the former Vice Chancellor of Makhan Lal Chaturvedi National University of Journalism and Communication, Sri Achyutanand Mishra. Year 1958 has been divided into two volumes, 5 and 6. This period introduces us to Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay's ideas on India's political economy. Volume 5 is dedicated to renowned mathematician and Bharatiya Janasangh's former president Acharya Deva Prasad Ghosh. His profile is written by Sri Prafulla Ketkar, the editor of Organizer. The prologue for this volume is provided by the former Chief Minister of Himachal Pradesh, Sri Shanta Kumar, while noted ideologue Sri K.N. Govindacharya has contributed the chapter That Period. Volume 6 comprises of Pandit Deen Dayal Ji's book, The Two Plans, Promises, Performance and Prospects. It also carries an analysis by Dr. Bhai Mahavir. Well-known economist and Uttar Kshetra Sangchalak of RSS, Dr. Bajrang Lal Gupta has written the foreword. This edition pays tribute to eminent philosopher and economist Sri Dattopant Thengri, whose introduction is provided by Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad's former president Sri Rajkumar Bhatia. Volume 7 covers 1959, the year when China swallowed Tibet and started threatening Indian frontiers. This edition commemorates RSS Sahasarkarevaha Sri Bhaurao Devras, who was instrumental in bringing Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay into RSS fold. Sri Achyutanand Mishra introduces Sri Bhaurao Devras to readers. The prologue is penned by Vishwa Hindu Parishad's International Secretary General Sri Champat Rai. Well-known journalist Dr. Nandakishore Trikha wrote the chapter That Period. Volume 8 takes into account the developments in 1960 when Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay authored a series of articles on improving India's democratic model, as well as treatise on different political thoughts. The volume is dedicated to Uttar Pradesh Janasangh's first woman vice chairperson and an ace satyagrahi in Jammu and Kashmir, Srimati Hirabai Iyer. Sri Brij Kishore gives a glimpse into the contribution of Srimati Iyer, while the former RSS Joint General Secretary Sri Madan Das has written the foreword to this book. That Period chapter is authored by Deen Dayal Research Institute's General Secretary Sri Atul Jain. Volume 9 covers the year 1961 and commemorates Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay's friend and later the General Secretary of Bharatiya Janasangh, Sri Sundar Singh Bhandari. His introduction is given by Jaipur-based Sri Indu Shekhar Tatpurush. The foreword is written by RSS General Secretary Sri Suresh Bhaiyaji Joshi, while That Period chapter is authored by Sri Balbir Punj. Volume 10 showcases 1962, the tumultuous year when China waged war against India. This volume pays homage to Dr. Sampurnanand, former UP Chief Minister, who believed in a different ideology. Dr. Sampurnanand had written the foreword to Pandit Ji's political diary. Panchjanya editor Sri Hitesh Shankar introduces Dr. Sampurnanand to readers in this volume. The book opens with a foreword by Dr. Krishna Gopal, the Joint General Secretary of the RSS, while renowned Indologist Sri Banwari has penned the developments of that time under that period chapter. Volume 11 encompasses the period during 1963 and 1964, when Deen Dayal Upadhyay ji wrote vividly on integral humanism. The book is dedicated to Greek linguist and Indologist Acharya Raghuveer, who also served as the president of Janasangh. His introduction is given by Dr. Rajiv Ranjan Giri, a professor in the University of Delhi. The prologue for this edition is written by Swami Govindagiri Maharaj, an eminent disciple of Bharat Mata Temple founder Swami Satyamitranand Giri. BJP Vice President and Rajya Sabha MP Dr. Vinay Sahasrabuddhe has penned that period chapter in this edition. At present, he is also the president of ICCR. Volume 12 covers 1965, the year that witnessed Kutch Agreement and India's victory in the war against Pakistan. This volume honors the then Joint General Secretary of RSS, Sri Prabhakar Balwant Bhaiyaji Dani, who is introduced to readers by RSS Delhi Prant Sahasangchalak Sri Alok Kumar, now the working president of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad. The then Bihar governor and now the Honorable President of India, Sri Ram Nath Kovind, has written the foreword for the book, while renowned author Dr. Sitesh Alok has penned that period chapter. Volume 13 throws light on the year 1966, a period that witnessed the demise of Sri Veer Savarkar and the launch of a nationwide campaign against cow slaughter. The book is dedicated to Deen Dayal ji's colleague and the architect of various village empowerment alternatives, Sri Nanaji Deshmukh, recently honored with Bharat Ratna. His introduction is given by Sri Devendra Swarup. The prologue for this volume is written by UP Governor Sri Ram Nayak, while that period chapter is penned by journalist Sri Rahul Dev. Volume 14 collates the writings of Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay between 1967 and 1968, the period just before the end of his life. It also marked the end of single-party rule in Indian politics. This was the time when Pandit Upadhyay was nominated as the president of Bharatiya Janasangh months before his cold-blooded murder. The foreword for this issue is written by Gujarat Governor Sri Om Prakash Kohli, while that period chapter is contributed by senior journalist Sri Jagdish Upasani. The volume is dedicated to Janasangh's promoter in South India, Sri Jana Krishnamurthy, who also served as BJP president during 2001-2002. Sri L. Ganeshan presents him to the readers. Volume 15 is the concluding volume of the anthology, which includes undated writings of Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay. This is dedicated to renowned Gandhian thinker and Indologist Sri Dharampal. His introduction is given by avid researcher Dr. Jitendra Kumar Bajaj. A prominent Sangh functionary and veteran columnist Sri M. G. Vaidya has written the preface. Sri Ram Bahadur Rai has paid homage and written an epilogue on the demise of Panditji. The first copy of the 15-volume English rendering of the complete works of Deen Dayal Upadhyay was presented to the Honorable President of India, Sri Ram Nath Kovind, on February 11, 2019 at the Rashtrapati Bhavan.
दीन दयाल जी के जगह जगह बिखरे हुए कागजात, लेख, इन्होंने सालों परिश्रम करके इकट्ठा किया और उसके बाद पहले हिंदी और बाद में अंग्रेजी का ये संग्रह आया है। माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी आपने इसको प्राप्त करने के लिए या हमें आपको भेंट करने के लिए आपने हमें समय दिया। हम सब आपके आभारी हैं।
Thereafter, it has been presented to many other dignitaries of the country. Namaskar.
I now request Dr. Mahesh Chandra Sharma ji, Chairman, RDFIH, to address the gathering. Dr. Mahesh Chandra Sharma ஐயா, தலைவர் RDFIH அவர்களை உரையாற்ற அழைக்கிறேன்.
வணக்கம். Honorable Governor of Tamil Nadu, Shri Ravi, our friend and the spokesperson of Indianness, Shri Gurumurthy ji. In this function, we invited Dr. Nirmala Arul Prakash and Sri Vasudevan Bhaskaran. Welcome to both. Friends, I am not at home in English. It's not my cup of tea. But I can't speak in Tamil and you can't understand Hindi. So this is the Apad Dharma. Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay has a Rishi Vyaktitva and we are paying that Rina Rishi gives us. These 15 volumes tells a story themselves, but his life and his ideology not inspiring of the then generation, but the future generation also. Because the task was very big. A paradigm shift is needed. After colonial education, after colonial slavery, our mindset is till now is not free from the colonial ideas. It's not very simple. When Deendayal ji asked the leaders, we are free now, there is no English regime, there is no European regime, then why we are following the European ideology? Why we are secular? Why we are only Western Democrat? Why we are capitalist? Why we should adopt socialism? These are the ideas, good ideas of Europe, but these ideas born out of that situation. So now we are free, so we think freely. Then people said, only two ideologies are there. You become individualistic or capitalistic, or you become socialistic or communist. There is no third ideology. Then Deen Dayal ji said that this ideology of the West is born out of the situation only 300 years ago. But we are here the 50,000 years ago, so we should think why this country is continued, why this country is Sanatan, why this country was the Sone ki Chidiya. This country has the unique ideas. What is the source of Western ideologies? The source of Western ideologies are the one question. What is the question? Question was, who is human being? Manav kaun hai? Who is human being? The one set of intellectuals said, the human being is an individual. मानव यह व्यक्ति है. Human being is an individual. This conclusion follows an ideology that is individualism. The second set of intellectuals told, no, human being is not an individual, but society. This conclusion flows one next ideology, that is socialism. Both ideologies are antagonized. No capitalist became socialist, no socialist can become capitalist. This type of ideology is not give the happiness of the human being. So we should ask ourselves, what is the human being? Our rishis give the answer. The answer is, Aham Brahmasmi. मैं ब्रह्म हूँ. What should be the question? Question will be, who are you? The answer is, I am Brahmasmi. The answer is not, I am individual. The answer is not that I am society. But the answer is, I am Brahmasmi. Deen Dayal ji said, we should identify that Brahma. And Deen Dayal ji himself identified the Brahma in the present context in politics. He said, the Brahma is entire. Brahma means Sampurna. Brahma is entire. And this entirety is integral. What is integral? Integral, which is not separable. The human being, the personality of human being is not only individual, not only society, not only the nature, not only the Almighty, but the integral whole of these four. So, Deen Dayal ji said, Vyasti, Samasti, Shrishti and Parameshti. Vyakti, Samaj, Prakriti or Paramatma. Individual, society, nature and Almighty. This is human being. This is human being. So, the lawmakers, these system makers should know whom we should serve. We are serving the human being, and the human being is an individual, the society, the nature and the Almighty. What is the name of the idea? Deen Dayal ji said, the name of this ideology is Ekatma Manavad, integral humanism. In this philosophy, many aspects are there. It's an entire ideology. So the cultural nationalism, the Arthayam, the Bharatiyata, Chaturpurusharth, all are integral part of this ideology. Deen Dayal ji was a seer, was a drashta. He gone in 1967-68. The entire responsibility to go ahead is ours, so that these 15 volumes, my time is over. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for the very enlightening speech. I now request Thiru S. Gurumurthy, editor Thuklak, to deliver his address. Thuklak ஆசிரியர் திரு குருமூர்த்தி ஐயா அவர்களை பேச அழைக்கிறேன்.
Honorable Governor of Tamil Nadu, Sri R.N. Ravi ji, my good friend, Mahesh Chandra Sharma, who has put together this monumental work of Deen Dayal ji's collected works, and Dr. Nirmala Arul Prakash, who has been interacting with me for the last few months, and I have been continuously knowing about how Dravidianism developed as a philosophy and turned into destructive politics from my interactions with her. And Sri Vasudevan Bhaskaran, who was the heartthrob of all of us, when he won the Gold Cup, we all felt so proud. I never thought I would be sharing my platform with him one day. From what Mahesh Chandra Sharma explained, one shocking question that should have arisen in your mind is, did such a person exist in Indian politics? Could there be in Indian politics a personality like Deen Dayal Upadhyaya, who spoke about philosophies, who spoke about society, who spoke about the world, who spoke about what connects the different dots and turns a human being into a part of a whole cosmic system? He existed in politics. And that is what politics was in those days. Before 1969, politics in India was a great calling. It became power-centric. It became a matter of business. It became a matter rooted in corruption only by one event, that was the split in the Congress party. When the Johnson was very happy about the split in the Congress party, a great nationalist and a seer who shaped all of us, Guruji Golwalkar, said this is one of the worst developments to take place in India. Because India is not ready for a post-Congress situation. See how a nationalist sees. That's how Deen Dayal Upadhyaya rose above politics. And he spoke about things which are millennial in value. Some people, they can see 1,000 years later what will be the position. By looking back 1,000 years before, what was the position, connect the two to the present, and what are the distortions that are taking place at present. In 1970, when we were all fighting against emergency and about the kind of socialist tsunami that was taking place, we were all called CIA agents merely because we differed from them. Just opposing the people who called themselves socialists turned us into CIA agents. That was the branding politics, that was the divisiveness in politics, that is the silo-based politics which made each segment of India, which Deen Dayal ji saw as an integrated whole, was split by politics into pieces. Today, can you imagine a person like Sampurnanand, who was a Congress chief minister, writing a foreword for a book of an RSS pracharak who turned into a political leader, Deen Dayal Upadhyaya? Can we think of Ram Manohar Lohia, a socialist, who had serious differences with Dindayal Upadhyaya, sitting together and discussing what are the common issues on which they can agree. Now we will discuss only the differences. We will never discuss the common ideas. Dindayal ji was a person who looked at the commonalities by rising to a helicopter level of looking at things. Unless you go up, you can never understand what interconnects the people. Of course, Mahesh ji spoke about the philosophy. I will talk about the practical issues, which was not visible in Dindayal ji's lifetime. Dindayal ji spoke about not just the society, he spoke about the individual, his relations with the family, with the community, with the larger society, the nation, and the world, and the universe. There is an expanding circle of consciousness which makes the man feel his responsibilities towards the immediate and also the ultimate. You know, this may look very abstract, but I will give you the immediate example. In 1960s, when Dindayal Upadhyaya was expounding the integral humanism, the world was mesmerized by capitalism and communism. Many people think capitalism and communism are two distinct and contradicting philosophies. No! They are competing philosophies and their goal is not different. And it is only property dispute between them. Whether the property should be owned by the individual or the state was the only dispute between the two, and to which the property should be put to use. On that there was no difference. That is what has resulted in enormous amount of environmental destruction, split, and the kind of the chaos that we see today, making people irresponsible to think about their rights without thinking about their duties. And this is where we need to have a combined study of Mahatma Gandhi and Dindayal Upadhyaya. They source the entire human behavior, human life, on the duties of human beings. The duties include rights. Rights do not include duties. When H.G. Wells asked Mahatma Gandhi to sign the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, you know, it was there at that time, that was the case. And Mahatma Gandhi wrote a simple letter. He said, you change the title of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights into Universal Declaration of Human Duties, I will sign. The man was so farsighted. Today we have produced a model, the Western model, the American model, the European model, the socialist and the capitalist model, which is resting on rights, which has resulted in complete destruction of the families, the societies, the interpersonal relation between human beings. Today in America, no son thinks of taking care of the father. In fact, that is not even a social norm. No father needs to educate the son. With the result today, the entire burden of the family, which before 100 years, the American families used to discharge the burden of taking care of the elders, taking care of the children, and there was an integrity, there was a sense of duty that after a child is born, we are not individuals. And that kind of responsibility has been completely destroyed. With the result, more than 51% of the American population is dependent on the state. And the state assures the universal social security. And the universal social security was celebrated as something, a replacement of all families, replacement of all relationship. It is only a relationship between the individual and the state through citizenship, laws, courts, police, army, rules and regulations. With the result, today in America, the future social security obligations reduced to the present day value is $63 trillion. America is insolvent. They don't have $1 to meet this liability. When Dindayal ji spoke about families, relationship, duties, responsibilities, an integral approach to life which connects not only human beings but also human beings with nature. Something which the West never thought of till Lynn White wrote in 1965, at about the same time as Deen Dayal ji, that the Abrahamic religions have destroyed environment in the world. Because they thought nature is different, it is for the enjoyment of man. Our philosophy taught us, Deen Dayal ji told us, Mahatma Gandhi told us, all our CS told us, you are part of nature, you are not independent of nature. You will live if the nature lives. This kind of ideas which was generated in this country, propagated in this country, retailed through thousands and thousands of great seers and saints, was destroyed by westernization. Deen Dayal ji's appeal was to the future conscience of India. And it is no remanifesting. People thought these are all old ideas which have no value. It is now beginning to, nobody even knows these are all Deen Dayal ji's ideas. But these ideas are now percolating and spreading around the world. That is the success of a person whose name is not known, but whose ideas are pervading the world. And an enormous amount of work has been done by the team led by Mahesh ji, and I am extremely happy to have participated in this function. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We have arrived at the most awaited moment. I now kindly request the Honorable Governor for the book release of the complete works of Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay. Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay அவர்களின் நூற்தொகுப்பை வெளியிட மேதகு ஆளுநர் அவர்களை அழைக்கிறேன். Thank you, everyone. I now request the Honorable Governor to deliver the Chief Guest Address. தலைமையுரை ஆற்ற மேதகு ஆளுநர் ஐயா அவர்களை அழைக்கிறேன்.
Respected Dr. Mahesh Chandra Sarma, respected Thiru S. Gurumurthy, respected Dr. Nirmala Arul Prakash, respected Thiru Vasudevan Bhaskaran, his distinguished persons present here, friends from the media, gracious ladies and gentlemen, at the very outset, I would like to extend on behalf of all of us our deepest condolence to a number of lives, precious lives lost today in our state in an accident in a fireworks factory. We pray that the departed soul meets the divine, injured recover fast, and the families of the bereaved get the strength to bear with the loss. Friends, we are assembled here on a very special occasion, the release of the complete works of Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay ji, 15 volumes. And for this, I offer my deepest respect to Dr. Mahesh Chandra Sharma and his team for doing this monumental work, compiling the works of this great, one of the greatest and the tallest thinker of the world of the 20th century, who under the adverse circumstances, with his original thoughts, did so much that holds a very bright promise for us, for our future, a bright future. Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay's integral humanism is something which is without intellectually being conscious of it, is something that we live in our day-to-day life. Every Indian, every Bharatiya, from Kashmir to Kanyakumari and Kutch to Kamrup, in the day-to-day life, the way we conduct our affairs, in our personal affair, in our collective affairs, it reflects that deep thought which several thousand years ago our rishis had revealed during the time of the Vedas. The one creator, Parameshwara, who had created the entire creation and is present in every element of it. This Atmavata Sarvabhuteshu. Every being is like myself, is a reflection of myself. This universal oneness, which was revealed by our great rishis several thousand years ago, a unique wisdom, all-inclusive, unparalleled, with a stunning, if one calls it intellectual intensity, perhaps it even transcends that. 1,000 years of slavery. And it debilitated our self-confidence, our understanding to an extent that it became a tragic irony that a civilization of several thousand years ago began borrowing the ideas of the one which didn't have even 300 to 400 years of history. Yes, their material advancement in modern science and technology, industrial revolution, and the power, the material power that it gave, material and military power that it gave, it actually dazzled the world. And we thought that everything about them is superior to us. And we started borrowing whatever they dished it out, howsoever absurd it might be. But we very obediently, unquestioningly began following that. And those ideas are responsible today for the problem, the existential crisis that the world is facing today. And even in India, we are facing this problem. At the time when British left us, look at the number of castes, number of tribes that we had. And look at the number of castes and tribes that we have today. It has gone up many times. New and new identities are coming up. New and new. We never knew there was something called Dravid and Aryan. But British conspiracy and their Indian compatriots, they put together, it became a point of division. In this state, our own state, a beautiful state, we have 25 million people who don't feel that they wholeheartedly, they are accepted here. They call themselves, today they call themselves linguistic minority. They are now fighting case in Supreme Court for recognition of their language, because they are not allowed to teach their own mother tongue in their own schools. Now imagine before 1956, before the reorganization of this Madras state, what was the situation? There were people of this place, we were all together. But then the division, subdivision, and further subdivision, keeps dividing to an extent that in our own place, the place where we have been there for last centuries and centuries, suddenly this place becomes as if we are a migrant. They tell me, in fact, some Telugu people, some Malayalis and Kannadiga people, they tell me, sir, we are migrant. I say, migrant? When did you come? Oh, sir, our four long back, great-grandparents, they came, maybe about 300 years ago or 400 years ago. And so you are migrant. Now imagine, this place, you have several thousand Zoroastrians, thousands and thousands and lakhs of Marathis, people of all description, all hues, people of this country didn't know that they didn't know any such barrier. They moved from one end to the other, they lived without any restrictions. It was one Rashtra. But this new ideas, the Western ideas of a modern state, and Western ideas based of rights, and rights based on numbers based on your identity based on who you are, and start finding the differences. I was in Nagaland. People there, everyone, by and large outside people say that there are 16 tribes in Nagaland. Actually, when you go there, one tribe, if you start looking at difference, has more than 30 sub-tribes, and no two are in dialogue with each other. If you start looking at this in terms of differences, hundreds of us, we are all different. Let us follow our own path. This has done colossal amount of destruction, damage to us. The result is, today, the world is facing crises like climate crisis, wars, invisible wars everywhere, acute poverty, unacceptable inequity, unstable equilibrium, unacceptable accumulation of weapons of mass destructions. There are many countries which have nuclear weapons capable to destroy this earth many times over. One accident, one fluke somewhere, and the world is gone. So it's a very, very unstable equilibrium that we are living in. These are all thanks to the Western ideas. Ideas which have divided and subdivided the people, the society. When I look at our own country, I find that the four ideas have done the maximum damage, four Western ideas. One is the Western theology that believes in anthropocentric view of life, that humans are at the center of creation and the rest of the creation is for the pleasure of it. And this has resulted into conflict between humans and the environment, the nature. And we are paying the price, and more price we are yet to pay. And we will pay if we don't change our ways. Idea of society as a social contract. What is all this social economic and political thoughts, they are rooted in our belief, our understanding of the self and the society, the individual and the collective. What is an individual and what is collective? In the Western thought, individual is an autonomous, independent, sovereign unit. Individual is sovereign, and some individuals and number of individuals got together. There is no historical account of it. Nowhere, by no stretch of imagination, is going to prove, but they believe that there was a contract. People, they came together and contracted to live together. Wonderful. How weird this idea looks like. But then we have blindly imitated. And look at it in our colleges, universities, they are taught. Rousseau's social contract theory. When they say that before this, we were in very nasty, brutish condition. Hobbes said, life in nature was nasty, brutish and short. So they needed a strong Leviathan, a strong, powerful state to control this. Out of fear, out of control. Social content, individuals. So when you say that individuals constitute the society and they are the primary stakeholders and individuals are sovereign, obviously it leads to individualism, that only the individual's right had to be protected. Individual's autonomy, to what extent? No one knows, it keeps changing. This individualistic view of life, of society, it has created so much of problem. You know, we are all, look at this, individual, together they constitute the society, there's no doubt about it. But then, so is the case with atom. It's the atoms that come together and constitute the molecules. Let us say, do we say that no, hydrogen atom and oxygen atom, they have decided to come together and form the water? I mean, this is absurd logic. That okay, they decide that they choose to form a contract and so the water is molecule is born. Every atom has autonomy within the limit of that whole. And if you look at the atom, it is a micro solar system. We all know that our solar system, how it is, so is the atom. Atom is a reflection of a solar system. So this micro containing the reflection of the macro, and that is how the whole universe in creation is made. But no, when we start looking the world from the perspective of each individual, each atom, this atomized view of life, of society, which has caused all the destructions, which is causing all the destructions. There was another great intellectual, Karl Marx. Karl Marx also believed in individualism, individual's growth. Of course, he believed in a different format. And he said the society, all the institutions are there to curb the individual, so all the institutions must be demolished, be it family, be it society. He didn't believe in all this. Because family restricts the growth of an individual. Wonderful idea. You know, this kind of ideas, and which people, this may be a good construct as a designer, as a carpet designer weaves a good design, looks beautiful. You can intellectually carve out a good argument. It may look beautiful, a design, but it's not a beautiful life. It's not the reality. You may give a wonderful argument, cogent, logical, but we know that logic leads many ways. Naisa tarikena matirapaniya, that is what our even Upanishad says. Logic doesn't lead you to truth, it doesn't lead you to peace and happiness, that doesn't lead you to harmony. It leads to chaos. And that gentleman who created a model where society was neatly divided into have and have nots, and the two will be in a perpetual war, conflict. Keep fighting. I mean, as if there's no grey in between. Even if you, the fact is that there is a relative poverty, relative richness, but have and have nots are neatly divided in his model, mathematical model. And the two are in perpetual conflict. And that conflict is inevitable according to him. And eventually that will lead to a state where a stateless society, first is the state to be autocratic, and then the state itself will wither away. Very idealistic, fantastic. But it's a fantasy, fantastic fantasy, nothing beyond. But this gentleman also did something wonderful and something dangerous. In 1852, he also wrote a number of essays in New York Daily Tribune. He wrote a number of essays justifying the British Empire in India. He said, it was in August 1852 that he wrote almost 20 articles. The theme of all the articles, all the essays was that, well, I am opposed to imperialism, but in India it is a historical necessity. In India it is a historical necessity. Why? Because in India, society is very conservative, very suffocating. It doesn't let an individual to grow. Individual does not have the opportunity to fully blossom. The genius of the individual cannot blossom fully. And a society that worships cows and monkeys have no right to exist. So the British Empire, which is a historic necessity in India, had two tasks. One, total annihilation of India's social order. Destroy the society. And number two, lay the foundation of Western material civilization. For Karl Marx, human beings were moving hydrocarbons. Nothing beyond. All our emotions, everything is a chemical reaction. But that impacted us, and that is impacting even today. There are still people who are, well, quite beholden to him. And the fourth is, I look at it from my perspective, when I look at it, is Charles Darwin. Darwin, a wonderful guy who says humans have come from monkeys. And it is taught in classes, schools, colleges, everyone believes, not everyone, but those who are master people believe in it. Because he found certain pattern in the skeletons of the creatures, he said that the evolution happened through this, and finally humans evolved from the monkeys. And he gave a doctrine, survival of the fittest. The survival of the fittest gives moral justification to mercantile capitalism. If you are strong, by hook or by crook, you must rich, you must be strong, you must prevail. Weak is destined to perish. There is no element of compassion in Darwin's theory. Darwin took humans to the level of the animals. And we believed in that. Now these ideas are still prevailing in our country, still in our academia. People, they discuss, they talk, they read. Our students, they read, they write in the examinations, questions are asked. Even when I find in the political, even the UPSC aspirants, when they study the paper in political science, they read the philosophy of Hobbes, Locke, Rousseau, all these social contract, life and nature was nasty, brutish, short. What is what? My question, when actually Gurumurthy said that it was, how could such a person be there? My question be, why didn't we have such persons, many more such persons? In this country which believes in universal oneness, which is our Sanatana Adhyatma, which is not only that, it also accommodates different perspective, different views. When our rishis told, Eko sada vipravauda badanti, various forms, various expressions, fine, perfect, you have your own way of experiencing it or expressing it. Perfect. Look at this. Time of Rishabdev, Syadvad. Syadvad, what a wonderful idea, what a wonderful philosophy. No human can have a 360-degree view of anything. You have only a drishti kona, not the comprehensive samagra drishti. And when you have, you may be right. That is what Syadvad. For possibly you may be. So even if your adversary tells you something which is not tuned to your idea, perhaps you try to see some merit in that. Maybe, he may be right. She may be right. Now these wonderful ideas can generate only in this country. Could have generated in this country, this great country. When we know that when India became independent, when the British left us, Rishi Aurobindo had jotted down dreams for India. There Rishi Aurobindo says on the 15th of August 1947 that in entire universe, Earth is the only evolutionary planet. This is the only planet where consciousness is in the process of evolution, there is life. And on this planet, unique planet, Bharat is the only country where several thousand years ago, this wisdom was revealed that this consciousness is one with billions of manifestations. Universal oneness of creation, which does not exclude anyone, not only humans, animals, plants, everything. Even in inanimate, the consciousness is in a dormant stage. So Rishi Aurobindo said, and look at his time. His time was a very devastating time. This was the time when also Pandit Deendayal Upadhyay ji, when the world had witnessed two devastating world wars, millions and millions had perished. World had also witnessed unprecedented destructive power in the hands of humans, atomic weapon. World was divided, fighting with each other, armed with immensely destructive power. What was the fate of humans, humanity? Rishi Aurobindo wondered, was it self-destruction? And then he said, no, it is not. We have to evolve to the higher level, the next level of consciousness, where this becomes a sahaj gyan. When I start seeing in all of you as myself, without any effort. That stage, once it comes, the differences drop. We are all one. We are all part of a family. We are like leaves of a tree. There are million leaves of a tree, thousands of twigs and branches. Each leaf is unique. No two leaves are alike. Each twig and each branch is unique. No two branches are alike. And yet, away from the tree, it has no existence. It is all a part of one. It's like waves in the ocean. When we go and stand at the beach, millions of waves come. No two waves are alike. But waves come and finally meet. It's the ocean. That awareness was there among us, among our rishis had given us this wisdom. And that is what is called Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which is, here we say, Yadu Mure Yadu Kele. Which is the motto of our G20 presidency. Today, country, we know, we are moving forward with these ideas of oneness, one family. The globe is a family, the world is a family. It's not just shared future, it is a one future. It's not a shared interest, we have a common interest. This is a part of Kutumbam. With this sense, today our country is moving. But when Rishi Aurobindo, he jotted down the dream, he said that why is it happened only in Bharat? That this idea, this knowledge, this wisdom was revealed. Why was it? Why was it not revealed in any other part of the world? He says it was not a coincidence. It was not a chance. It was a divine wish. And so, Bharat has a divine obligation to spread the light across the world. The light of oneness, light of your own family. This is a divinely mandated obligation, duty of Bharat. And for this duty to perform, Bharat must be strong. And must be strong not just militarily, economically, but must also be as strong as a one family. And here comes the teachings and works of Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay ji, when he says, we are all one. We are part of a family. Ekatma, integral humanism. You may explain it in many ways in intellectual discourses. Essentially, it boils down to this. Avivaktam vivaktesu tadgyanam vidhisatyukam. What Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, indivisible looks divided. This is our essence. This is essence of even Ekatma Manav Darshan, which Pandit Deen Dayal ji has given to us. I would expect, I would wish, and it is our duty also to give a wider currency to the work of Pandit Deen Dayal ji, which has to be a material, course material in our universities. In their purest form, it has to be taken to the schools, because this is our Bharatiya Darshan. This is our way to look at. This is how we look at ourselves and look at the society. Our view, our drishti of the self, individual, and our drishti of the society are integral. The two are not different. And this drishti, literature about this, more and more literature have to be created. Maybe we have to commission, and it should be, more and more research scholars should work on it. Because what Pandit Deen Dayal ji did is not, it doesn't end with this 15 volumes. These works, each of these have to be done, more and more research had to be done, had to be expanded in a contemporary context. He has already contemporized it, but it has to be in the local context, it has to be explained in new situations, because we all live in a dynamic situation. Today is not yesterday, and tomorrow will not be today. So it has to be kept updated. More and more research have to be done, more and more research scholars have to be committed to it. And we have to encourage more and more research on the indigenous, the Indian Bharatiya Gyan Paddhati, which is fundamentally different from the European epistemology, European Gyan Paddhati. And there only, by this only, we can keep the idea of Bharat as a Rashtra, Bharat as a political state, and Bharat as a Rashtra. Unfortunately, the notion of Bharat as a political state has overshadowed the Bharat as a Rashtra. It has weakened the concept of the Rashtra. We have to reclaim it, regain it, for the good of our country, for the good of Bharat, and for the good of the world. This is a responsibility that we have to take it forward. And once again, I thank you, Dr. Mahesh Chandra Sharma ji and his team for delivering to us a very wonderful book, compendium of work of Deen Dayal Upadhyay ji. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you for the very eloquent and very insightful speech, sir. I now request Thiru S. Nagarajan to deliver the vote of thanks. நன்றியுரை ஆற்ற திரு நாகராஜன் ஐயா அவர்களை அழைக்கிறேன்.
அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். 2-3 குறிப்புகள். இந்த புத்தகம் 15 புத்தகங்களாக வால்யூமில் வந்திருக்கு, தனித்தனி புத்தகங்கள். அந்த கொத்து 12,000 ரூபாய் எம்ஆர்பி அதுக்கு. ஆனால் இன்னைக்கு வாங்குறவங்களுக்கு அது 9,999 ரூபாய்க்கு கிடைக்கும். அது வெளியில் அங்கே டிஸ்பிளேக்கு இருக்கு. அங்கே நம்ம கமிட்டி சேர்ந்த மெம்பர்கள் இருப்பாங்க. நீங்கள் யாருக்கு சில பேர் முன்னாடியே ஆர்டர் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க, அவங்களும் வாங்கிக்கலாம். மற்றவர்கள் அங்கே பணத்தை கொடுத்துட்டே வாங்கிக்கலாம். சில பேர் செக்கு மற்ற விஷயங்கள் கொடுக்கணும்னு சொன்னால் அங்கே சொன்னால் அது ஏற்பாடு பண்ணுவாங்க அதுக்கானது. சம்ஸ்கிருத்தில் ஒரு ஸ்லோகம் உண்டு. தத்தினம் துர்தினம் மன்யே மேகாச்சன்னம் ந துர்தினம் யத்தினம் கிருஷ்ண பீயூஷ கதா பானாதி வர்ஜிதம். எந்த நாள்னா ரொம்ப மேகம் கர்ஜிச்சு மழை வருதோ அது கெட்ட நாள் கிடையாது. என்னைக்கு கிருஷ்ணனை பத்தி நம்ம கேட்க முடியலையோ அன்னைக்கு அது கெட்ட நாள். அதனால நல்ல விஷயம் கேட்கறதுக்கு இன்னைக்கு மாலை ஒரு நல்ல நாளாக இருந்தது. தமிழ்லயும் உண்டு, செவிக்குணவு இல்லாத பொழுது சிறிது வயிற்றுக்கும் ஈயப்படும்ங்கிற முறை இன்னைக்கு இருந்தது. தீன்தயாள்ஜியோட ஒரு அடிப்படை இது இல்லை, இந்த நாட்டோட அடிப்படை இது தர்மம்ங்கிறது தான். கார்ல் மார்க்ஸோட அல்டிமேட் தியரி என்ன சொன்னா, விதரிங் அவே ஆஃப் த ஸ்டேட். ஸ்டேட்டே இருக்காது கடைசியில, மக்கள் ஒருத்தருக்கு ஒருத்தர் ஒத்தாசை செஞ்சு வாழ்ந்துட்டு இருப்பாங்கன்னு. இது 5000 வருஷம் முன்னாடி பீஷ்மர் சொல்லிட்டார் சாந்தி பர்வத்தில். அவர்கிட்ட கேட்கிறார், ஐடியல் கண்டிஷன் ஆஃப் ஸ்டேட் என்ன அப்படின்னு சொன்னார். அது சொசைட்டி என்ன சொல்லிட்டு, ந ராஜ்யம் நைவ ராஜாசீத் ந தண்ட்யோ நச்ச தண்டிகாஹ தர்மேணைவ பிரஜா சர்வம் ரக்ஷந்தி ஸ்ம பரஸ்பரம். ராஜா கிடையாது, தண்டிக்கிறவன் கிடையாது, ராஜ்யம் கிடையாது, தர்மத்தோட அடிப்படையில் எல்லாரும். தர்மம்னா ரிலிஜன் கிடையாது, தர்மங்கிறது இயற்கையோட ஒரு கொள்கை, லா ஆஃப் நேச்சர், அதுதான் தர்மம். இதே ஒண்ணு சொல்றாரு. இப்ப வெஸ்ட்ல வந்து இண்டிவிஜுவலை வச்சு தானே பண்றாங்க, நம்ம அப்படி பண்ணல. என்ன மனிதனுக்கும் விலங்குக்கும் என்ன வித்தியாசம்? அதுவும் தர்மம் தான் வித்தியாசம். ஆஹார நித்ரா பயமைதுனம் ச சாமான்யமேதத் பசுபிர் நரானாம் தர்மோஹிதேஷாம் அதிகோ விசேஷः தர்மேண ஹீனா பசுபிஸ் சமானா. ஆகாரம் சாப்பிடுறது, நித்ரை, செக்ஸ், அப்புறம் வந்து போட்டி, பயம், இதெல்லாம் வந்து மனிதனுக்கும் விலங்குக்கும் ஒண்ணுதான், அதுவும் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கு. ஆனா உனக்கு அதுக்கும் என்ன வித்தியாசம்? நீ தர்மப்படி நடக்கிற, அப்படி நடந்தா தான். நம்ம எல்லாமே இங்க தர்மம் தான், தர்மத்தின் அடிப்படையில தான் இந்த நாடு வந்து நடந்துட்டு இருக்கு. இந்த இந்தியன் சிவிலைசேஷனோட அடிப்படை ஆங்கர்ட் அண்ட் தர்மம்னு சொல்லுவோம். உங்களுக்கு இந்த விழாவிற்கு வர இசைந்து இந்த விழாவில் கலந்து கொண்ட மேதகு ஆளுநர்களுக்கு நமது ரிசர்ச் அண்ட் டெவலப்மெண்ட் ஃபவுண்டேஷன் ஃபார் இன்டகிரல் ஹியூமனிசம் தமிழ்நாடு கிளையின் சார்பாக எங்களது நெஞ்சார்ந்த நன்றியை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கின்றோம். சிந்தனையாளரும் சுக்லகாசிரியருமான திரு குருமூர்த்தி அவர்கள் நமக்கெல்லாம் ஒரு பிரேரணா ஸ்ரோதவர். எப்பவுமே அவர் இதுக்கு இசைந்து மேடையில வந்து பேசுறதுக்கு, அவர் வரமாட்டேன், மேடையில் பேச மாட்டேன்னு சொன்னார். ஆனா நாங்கெல்லாம் ரொம்ப கெஞ்சி கேட்டோம், நீங்க பேசணும், பேசினா தான் எங்களுக்கு வந்து ஒரு இதா இருக்கும்னு சொல்லிட்டு. அவர் நான் வந்து வரல, பார்ட்டிசிபேட் பண்ணிக்கிறேன், மேடைக்கு வரலன்னு சொன்னார். அவர் வந்தது. அதே போல எங்களுக்கெல்லாம் வழிகாட்டியா இருக்கின்ற டாக்டர் மகேஷ் சந்திர சர்மா அவர்கள் வந்து இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியில கலந்து கொண்டதும் மிகப்பெரிய சந்தோஷம். நம்ம நிர்மலா மேடம், டாக்டர் நிர்மலா பிரகாஷ், அவங்க வீட்டுக்கு போயிருந்த போது அவங்களை எங்களை வரவேற்றது, அவங்களோட நாங்க உரையாடினது. இப்ப உலகத்துல தமிழ்நாட்டில் பார்த்தோம்னா யாரை பார்த்தாலும் ஏதாவது திட்டணும்னு சொன்னா என்ன பண்ணோம்னா, சம்ஸ்கிருதத்துல சேஷம் கோப்பையில பூரையேன்னு சொன்னோம். லாஜிக்கலா ஜெயிக்க முடியலன்னு சொன்னா மெட்ராஸ் பாஷையில திட்ட வேண்டிய, திட்டினா உடனே முடிஞ்சு போடுன்னு சொன்னோம். அதே போல எல்லாரும் ஏதாவது சரியா பண்ண முடியலாட்டே நீ சங்கி அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டான். அவங்க வீட்டுல போனா அவன் கணவர் சொன்னார், நான் 1957 RSSல போயிருக்கேன் 2 வருஷம் அப்படின்னு சொன்னார். அவர் காலை தொட்டு கும்பிட்டேன், நீங்க வந்து எனக்கு சங்கத்துல மூத்தவர் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டேன். அதே போல நம்மளுடைய சென்னையின் பெருமை நம்ம பாஸ்கரன் சார், எனக்கு அன்னைக்கு தான் வந்து அவர் நம்பர்லாம் ஒன்றும் தெரியாது. நான் சில பேர் முக்கியமா நம்பர் வச்சிருக்கிறவங்கள்ட்ட கேட்டேன், ஏன் எனக்கு தெரியாது பார்த்தா அப்புறம் அந்த சாஃபோட இதுல இருந்து சைட்ல இருந்து நம்பர் எடுத்து ஃபோன் பண்ணேன். சார் கட்டாயம் வரேன் சார், எனக்கு கவர்னரோட நல்ல பழக்கம் உண்டு சார், நான் வரேன் சார் சொல்லிட்டு ஒரு விதமான ஒரு ஹெசிடேஷன் இல்லாமல் ஒத்துட்டு வந்தாங்க. அப்புறம் நிர்மலாமாவும் உடனே சொன்னாங்க. அவங்கள நான் ஒரு வீடியோவில் பார்த்தேன், அப்போ தான் அவங்க கூப்பிடணும் வந்தது. அவங்களுக்கும் எங்கள் நெஞ்சார்ந்த நன்றியை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறோம். இந்த அரங்கத்தை கொடுத்து உதவிய இந்த PS எஜுகேஷனல் ட்ரஸ்ட் அந்த தலைவர் அவர்களும் சரி, செயலாளர் அவர்களும் சரி, எல்லா உதவிகளும் செய்து அவங்க செஞ்சிருக்காங்க. அவங்களுக்கும் நன்றி. காவல்துறைக்கு நன்றி. ராஜ்பவன் அங்க இருக்கிற அதிகாரிகள் எங்களுக்கு பல விதத்திலும் ஒத்துழைப்பு சந்தித்த நல்லா நடத்துறதுக்காக பண்ணாங்க. உணவு கொடுத்த அந்த கேட்டரிங்காரர் அவருக்கும் நன்றி. பெருந்திரளாக நாங்க பயந்துட்டே இருந்தோம், இன்னைக்கு மழை பெய்யுமோ, 30 ரூபாங்களோ 40 ரூபாங்களோன்னு சொல்லிட்டு. இந்த அரங்கம் நிறைந்து ஒரு நிகழ்ச்சியை நடத்தி கொடுத்த உங்களுக்கெல்லாம் எங்களுடைய நெஞ்சார்ந்த நன்றி. நேற்று சாயந்தரம் தான் போய் கூப்பிட்டேன் டாக்டர் கிருஷ்ணமூர்த்தி சாஸ்திரில, அவர் வரணும், பெரியவரா இருந்து ஆசீர்வாதம் பண்ணணும்னு சொல்லிட்டு. அவர் காலுக்கெல்லாம் வலின்னு என்ன தடவிட்டு இருந்தார். நான் வந்துடுறேன் போ அப்படின்னு சொன்னார். வந்தது ஏதாவது சாப்பிட்டு போடணும், ரவா லட்டு கொடுத்தார் தாத்மாமி. அதனால எல்லாரும் வந்து ஒத்துழைப்பு பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. எல்லோருக்கும் எங்களது நெஞ்சார்ந்த நன்றி. எங்கள் குழுவினர்கள் தோளோடு தோள் நின்று எங்களுடைய கமிட்டி உறுப்பினர்கள் அவர்களும் எல்லா வேலையும் செஞ்சாங்க. சி கோபாலன் அவர்கள் நல்லா செஞ்சாங்க. அவர் நிறைய பேருக்கு அவரே ஆரம்பிச்சு பண்ணார். எல்லாருக்கும் நன்றி. இதற்கு பின்னர் தேசிய கீதம் இருக்கும். தேசிய கீதம் முடிந்தவுடன் வெளியில் செல்வதற்கு 4-5 பாதைகள் இருக்கிறது. உள்ள வரதுக்கு தான் ஒரே பாதையா வச்சிருந்தோம். வெளில சென்று 4 பாதை இருக்கு. தள்ளு முள்ளு வேண்டாம், அவசரப்பட வேண்டாம். கவர்னர் அவர்கள், மேதகு ஆளுநர் அவர்கள் அமைதியா போறதுக்கான வழிவிட்டு எந்திருந்து நிற்போம். அதுக்கப்புறம் நம்ம கிளம்புவோம். மிக்க நன்றி. நன்றி.
Let us now raise for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलति तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
भारत माता की
ஃப்ரெண்ட்ல அப்படியே கொஞ்சம் உட்காருங்க சார். ஓ அப்படியே